Let's f***ing roll.
Ready? Here we go. All right, everybody, welcome back to McBastard Studio. I'm Brad Banyas. You're listening to the SaltyMF GOAT Podcast. Today, we have Salty's Live Music, which is sponsored by Band Groupies, and we're really excited because we actually have one of our Band Groupies musicians on, and she's absolutely amazing. So please welcome Andria Shinn Music to the show.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, so, Andria and I have talked like on and off for a while, so she actually braved the weather and the fear of ice and snow in Georgia, but they did run into some ice coming up. So I told our crew, I don't care if there's a blizzard, we're doing it. So we're so grateful that you guys came up.
Yeah, I'm excited we can make it. I definitely did. I was looking forward to this, so we weren't going to let it stop us. We're Pacific Northwestern. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. But you came up from Fernandina Beach.
That's right. Yep. It's a little different over here how they handle the roads and the travel, but yeah, we made it. We brought the big red truck and we muddled through. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Fernandina Beach is such a musical little community down there. Yeah. So you're in like it's just like the heart of something that's really awesome to be able to go to all the different bars and venues.
Yeah.
So what's it like? I mean, there's probably 10 or 15 places to play around down there?
More, definitely more now. I came into the scene just under 4 years ago and started playing probably about 3 years ago. And from what I'm told, it was drastically different before that time. But of course we had the COVID stuff, and so things shut down. So I came in right on the end of that. We've had so many new musicians on the scene. We've had so many new types of music happening. So I'm seeing a lot more original music out now. It's just changing and changing all the time and growing, I think, in a way. And so, there's new venues popping up all the time that are doing live music, more musicians coming into the area. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. So a call out to Joe Singer down there,
Yeah.
Sound Waves and Flowing Grits. He was on the podcast talking about his amazing story. So Joe, we appreciate you down there, building a little community down there. Uncle Polly's down there, so shout out to Uncle Polly.
Yep.
But you're kind of new to the music scene. You and I talked a little bit before. You kind of came out with the corporate finance and nonprofit world. I mean, has music just always been in your soul and you just didn't release it, or like?
I would say, I've been singing since I could get in a swing in my backyard, and so music's always been coming out of me, but it's never been something I've done publicly. Sang in my churches growing up and a little bit here and there, and then as an adult did worship team and things here and there. But this is a very different kind of thing for me. I've learned everything from, formalizing my writing, my songwriting, and working with a band and everything, getting in front of an audience, all in the last few years. So it's been quite a learning curve.
I mean, your voice is amazing, but also your songwriting, just listening to the lyrics is incredible. Like it's like refreshing, And I'm not a musician. Everyone knows. They're like, "What the hell is this guy doing?" Salty's live music. This guy doesn't know anything. But I mean, it really is refreshing to hear. I love when people write their own song.
It's really cool to hear what comes out of each person, especially if you know the person a little bit, and then you hear what they're telling you, and you're like, "Oh, that's so cool to know this piece of them." It just comes out different in music than it does in words, and just.
Yeah, it's part of your soul, really. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's part of kind of what's in there, and kind of I think music lets people kind of get that out, versus articulating it, via, sing it,
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely, the feelings come with it.
Yeah. I mean, well, I can. When I was sitting here before, the best part of this job is, first of all, I'm not a professional podcaster. I don't really give a shit either way, but sitting here, listening and watching you guys and just warming up, and it's killer. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. It's definitely play more than work. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you were baptized in the McBastard Studio. What do you think?
I love it. I'm so glad this is where we did our first music podcast for sure. This has been a lot of fun. You guys are a great team to work with.
Yeah,
so
thanks. Yeah, it's all fun for us, and it's like my kids get so mad at me because they're like, "Well, you don't have to go to work today." I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, you don't have to go to work. You just listen to musicians and stuff. You don't have to." So I wouldn't call this work. So.
Yeah, same with music for me. It's definitely more fun than work, but we appreciate, I would say on behalf of all musicians, we appreciate people who are not musicians but really, really care about music, because we wouldn't be doing this without that. So
absolutely. The listeners, you got to have those listeners out there, because a lot of people, I mean, I've tried several times to pick up a guitar, and I just don't, like, I just, it'd be something I'd have to really, 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 do. And I think I'd just rather put my music on and listen to somebody who can play the guitar.
Well, we need those people listening, so appreciate that too.
Oh no, I love it. I it's so funny because we have all kinds of some of the musicians that have been on, they've been doing, like, I would call professional artists or whatever they do for 15, 20 years, and then some people are just getting into it. I like the people that are pretty new, like, and they're kind of trying to get a feel for
I'm definitely that.
what this is. And like, I haven't done this my whole life, but I've sung my whole life, and it's a cool thing to see people progress from when they first start, because you can see it, right? You didn't know if they were a childhood superstar at 9 singing, but you can, like, see it, and just, like, they just incrementally just keep getting better and better and better, and it's amazing.
Yeah, it's a challenge all the time, but I think it's definitely, I don't know, the reward is worth it, even though there's times when you're like, wow, how am I going to figure out how to do all this? You see people who have been doing this a long time, and they're just so effortless at it. And you're like, look at how well they put together their songs, how they present their songs, the things that they're doing out there. And you're like, I don't know how I could ever be like that. Yeah. But, you start to find your own vibe, and, like, that's such a big part of being an artist in anything, not just with music, any kind of artist. But, once you find kind of where you fit, it's not so much about, it becomes less about seeing what other people are doing and trying to meet those levels, and being just, like, where you are, and, like, giving what you have to give where you have to give it. And that's the best part of it, because there's so much authenticity to that.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I love that.
Absolutely. And it's so, like, even newness to stuff. Like, we just started a Salty's Fight Talk podcast, which you don't have to look at me on that, by the way. It's run by the Big Sexy. He's better looking than I am. But like, when people say, well, why did you doing it? Like, it was so new and exciting and fun. And like, and so I think sometimes bringing that kind of, well, it's old school. Like, if I'm my day-to-day job, I've been doing this stuff for 25 years, right? You kind of lose that excitement to it. So it's really cool to.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot from musicians that I've been around, that, they can get burnt out from some of the mundane parts of it, or, like, the reoccurring things that they just experience over and over again. So I think, like, constantly evolving a little bit and challenging yourself to be new and different in a way, I think really, like, brings new life to anybody, but specifically musicians. I think that's a big part of it.
Well, I mean, I would say, like, I like listening to you. Because a lot of people try to compare, right? And I don't know. Your sound was kind of unique to me, so I don't know if people compare you to people, or a lot of people, hey, you sound like Jimi Hendrix, you sound like whatever. But, like, I was sitting and as I was listening, and I was trying to, like, and I couldn't come up with something.
I love that so much. Like, you have no idea. Like, I love when people say what we're doing is unique, like how my sound is unique or different. I think I was kind of telling you earlier, like, I don't spend a lot of time, at least maybe not as much as a lot of artists, listening to other music or experiencing other music as much as I could or probably should. But in that, I'm also not heavily influenced in a certain way. So what comes out of me a lot of times is very, like, just organic, and I'm not sure where all it comes from, but you're not the first person to tell me that, like, my music is very unique and different and kind of hard to label. Yeah, and that's to me, that's a compliment.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a really good thing, because it's funny because, like, I've said this before in this, but, like, people are like, oh, you're podcasting, whatever. I'm like, I've never listened to a podcast in my life before you did this. I don't listen to any podcasts. Yeah,
which is what makes it great, because it's uniquely you.
And you don't, like, I don't know. Are you supposed to do that? Or, I mean, I don't know. Are you supposed to do Zen on there? I don't know. I mean, what's the rules?
Drinking our
Somebody
Starbucks.
send me the rules. What's the rules of podcasting? I don't know what they are. But I think it's fun, because we really, like, we wanted just to sit down and have, like, a conversation with people about, hey, what's your passion?
Right.
Do you like it? Why do you write those songs? Do you find yourself leaning to kind of sad songs, happy songs? Is it just how you feel? I mean, I don't know. Do you have, like, something that in your head, like, there's a there's a genre or something that sticks in your head that you write a lot of songs about?
So we've been kind of trying to like give some sort of voice to that, because now that we're getting ready to put out an album, it's like I'm being asked like, okay, what kind of playlisting would you fall under and things like that. And I'm like, I don't know. So I'm asking that of other people. But I think what keeps coming back is some kind of a fusion of country, Southern rock, and blues is kind of where people keep hearing.
Trying to put you,
They hear pieces of that in what I write. I definitely am noticing I get a little more soulful the more I'm writing, so I'm getting more of that bluesy kind of feel.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where that comes from, because every song I write is so different, and they do come out of different like things that are going on in my life, or even sometimes just experiences I draw from someone else, or I just feel an empathy towards something, and then I feel like I want to express that. And so, and how they come out, I mean, one of the songs we performed today is called Broke Ass Chords, and my friends, my strong writing friends, I laugh because I'm always messing up my guitar, because I'm very like amateur at my guitar. It's just there to help me sing. And so I'm trying to learn more on that and get better at that. But it's, you know, what I can play is very limited. So I kind of will develop a lot of songs just from what I'm feeling vocally. And then I'll often even just send melodies and me singing words into the microphone to a buddy and be like, what chords can you play over this? I don't even know what I just did.
Yeah, I would be terrible. What's that chord? I don't even know what the chords are, so I have no idea. I'm just going to, let me sing it, and then you tune in behind it.
Half of my songs I can't even play right now, because the guys have put all these great like chord progressions behind them, and I'm like, I don't play those chords. I don't even know how to play those. So I'm just like, you're singing them now.
But that's what's good to have like other musicians around you too, you know? I mean, that's what's cool about a band.
Yeah.
You know, having a band and different views. And some people, I mean, I've told a couple of my buddies I want to do a song. I have this song in my head and I want to do it. And I don't know if I'd be any good at it or not, but I call a couple of my musician buddies. I'm like, can you guys like put the music to this? And they're like, don't worry. If you're only going to do it once, we'll just take all day and maybe a couple weeks and figure it out.
Yeah.
So.
Those are the best. Some of those songs are so fun though, because they come out like you don't take them too seriously, I guess, is what I'm saying. And so like we just wrote one kind of haphazardly at a little songwriter retreat that I put together, and it was just a way for me and my friends to get together over a weekend and do some writing. And we did this little workshop, and we had 20 minutes to write a song. And so we, of course, weren't taking it too seriously, but we wrote this song about a duck-billed platypus, and like 3 or 4 of us were all like, we should finish this and put it in our bluegrass stuff because it's kind of fun. Like,
That's
and we
awesome.
didn't even know we were gonna like it. We thought it was just like a throwaway thing.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Some of the most famous songs, people are like, we were just like messing
Goofing
around.
Yeah.
And it hits a chord. So, like, I'm always curious. Like audience music so broad, because you heard me talk about my music list this morning when I was going, and it's off the wall. I mean, I'll be listening to punk or rock and roll or country or whatever. Like, do you find a certain age group likes listen to you? Is there like a group that you found? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so far my reach has been so minimal that I have I'm working with a demographic that's primarily in Fernandina Beach anyway, so I see a lot of that. But I definitely think I appeal more to an older crowd. So I can't see like a lot of 20-year-olds listening to my music, though I'm not opposed to it. Of course, that would be great. But what they're listening to is very different, I think, than what I'm putting out right now. But I get a lot of I do have a fairly big range of people that come out to my shows. Some for the songwriter feel of it, the sort of originality of it, and then some because they like the type of genres I sort of blend with, and some just because they like me, and they're about what I'm about. But collaboration is a really big part of my music, and so I am constantly have people rotating on and off my stages everywhere. Even when they're supposed to be closed shows, I always end up being like, come sing with me anyway. Like, we'll just do it.
That's awesome. I wanted to give you a compliment. I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted to give you a compliment because, I've watched your brand. You do a really good job around your brand and your marketing of your brand, and it's very consistent. And I don't know if that's been intentional, but like, as a marketing guy and, doing crazy stuff, it's hard for us because we're all over the place. But like, I love to see that because I know there's not, you don't have a big agency behind you or, a firm, and I appreciate that. Like I don't know if people told you that before, but I see you doing a really good job around your brand, you.
Well, thank you. I do appreciate that because honestly, I don't know what I'm doing with that. It's not a strong area for me, but I am who I am, and I think because I knew who I was coming into this because I'm not young in coming into music, and so I already kind of knew who I was. I've developed my life and what I care about and my beliefs and all of that. So it's like that probably just keeps coming through because it's a consistent thing for me.
It's authentic.
Exactly.
And I mean, we like to deal obviously with authentic people, and so I mean, I think maybe that's why I can see the authenticity. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's a big compliment to me as well because that matters to me.
But you're consistent in it. So our team always tells me like, you're not being consistent. You can't go do this. Like, what does this McBastard studio have to do with SaltyMF? What the heck does band groupies have to? I'm like, there's a story behind it, man. It's a storyline. You got to follow the story. Like, follow the yellow brick road. You can't just get in right here and not, know the background of it. So
that makes sense.
That's hurt us, so I think.
Yeah.
So
you were talking to me a little bit earlier about kind of where you're going with some of this, and I was like, okay, when you see that bigger picture, like you said, the end of the road kind of thing, it makes sense where all of this is going. Yeah. So it's cool. But then, also as someone who gets excited about new things, sometimes we just trail off onto new exciting things.
As Andy said earlier, squirrel.
Yeah.
I'm definitely looking for butterflies. So
that's right. And that's okay because you find some really cool things down that path, that you weren't necessarily looking for, but are glad you found.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. Well, the good things, I think the good things in life come when you're not really searching for it. It just kind of shows up.
That was music for me.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh shit, like wouldn't this be cool? And then enough people are like, yeah, that's cool. Oh, I like what that's, and starting to see that. And I never forget when we first started. Like I've told this story before, but I was at a Costco and I had on a goat sweatshirt or something, and this lady's like, it's good to see a SaltyMFer. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? And she's like, oh, I buy that brand. I love that brand. I'm like, really? And she was a lot older than me. I was like, oh my God, I love you. Like, that's our company, whatever.
That's so cool.
I called Paul and I said, dude, we got something here. Like, there's no way that's not the demographic. Like, we thought we'd get all these, kind of big burly dudes like myself. And here's this little lady and she's wearing SaltyMF stuff. And I was like, holy shit, we got something.
She needs to be like your main promo girl.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If the old salty guy that I ran into at the beach 4 years ago is out there, he's probably not paying attention to this. He's definitely probably not listening to is something going on in the McBastard studio. He'd probably think, God, that kid really was weird, but what a strange bird. But anyways, if you're out there, we love you. We made a lot of T-shirts for you. Thank you very much for giving us the idea.
You never know where inspiration comes from. So yeah, you're right though about not controlling things and letting. That's been a huge part of this journey for me with music. It's probably the first time in my life that I've really started letting go of being in control of things. Like I was like you were mentioning earlier, I was in, corporate finance and nonprofits before music, and it's such an organized logistical field, and there's a lot of absolutes, and there's a lot of, you have to stay planned, and I'm a mom, and I've got, I have to stay on top of things, and so like it or not, control becomes a big part of how you survive life. You make sure that you're on top of things, that you have a plan for A and B and C. And so letting go of some of those plans and letting things just sort of become whatever they're going to become has been a part of music for me. And it's been so good for me. That's
awesome. Yeah, I think, I'm a bit older. So, I start to look at things different because I've done stuff and done everything I think you're supposed to do or whatever and all that stuff. But I started reading about the Stoics a lot about a year ago. And one of the biggest things is, if you can't really control anything, and if it's out of control, it's out of mind. Yeah. And, I'm no philosopher or anything, but it just kind of was very logical to me and made a lot of sense. And if you look back at all the things that in life that you were trying to control, and then it just went like friggin' haywire and,
That's so
and
true.
out of control and off the grid. And, you know, it is true. I mean, I can tell you, I mean, you can't control everything. And if someone else has a problem or they're, you know, dealing life, you know, be empathetic towards them or sympathetic, but like, you know, you can't change things, and that's hard for people. That went off the whole music. Sorry, that went off the music side.
No, that's a big part of what music's been for me, is not being in control. I like to call it a false sense of control when we think we're in control. Yeah. But really, it's more just a reassurance we give ourselves, something that I did a lot. You know, like if I have all these plans, then I've got control. And like you said, you really don't. No. We really don't. I never really did. But it gives you that false sense of security that you do. And so music's pushed me outside of that and made me grow in ways where I have to step on these, you know, step forward into these things I don't know, these unknowns. And it's made me stronger, I think, because I no longer rely on that false sense of control to be able to move or to act. And so it's a big part of my music. So
that's awesome.
That's cool that came up, actually.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's like, you know, living in the present, right? The right now. This is you and I right now. This is it. This is what we're doing. Yeah. Like, and it's so like, I can't change what happened yesterday. I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. Yep. If you listen to all the world news, we're shit up the creek anyways. but my point is, like, if people, that's why I like music. It's in the present. You're in there. You're enjoying it. You're at the show. You're part of it. You feel part of it. That's why people love live music, because you get that energy of like the group. Like, look at me, like I'm some kind of like a weird
You're a professional music follower.
No, I'm not. Gina Boykin, call out to Gina. She's Live Music Junkies here in Atlanta. She's been a big part of our show too, and she goes to all these shows, and the musicians love her, and she's just a music fan. So Live Music Junkies, call out to Gina. She's been on the show and had some artists on here, but she's a true
I watched her podcast.
She's a true,
it was great,
like, music fan. You know.
Yeah, so we got to have those people. Those people really, like, help define what music's going to become.
Absolutely.
So. But you're right. Yeah, like, all the more reason for live music right now with things in the world the way they are and everything we have to be a part of. But live music is so different. The feeling of being present with each other. And you talked about, like, who my, like, demographic of, like, listener is. And I'm thinking, I just start visualizing, like, a room of people that would come out and who I would normally see. And I think one of the things that's really stood out to me that's been really cool about the live music part of that and that connection that happens is so many people. I was just telling a friend this. I'm like, there's so many people in that room that I can think of that come out to our music on a regular basis that have become friends, that have gotten to be a part of each other's lives and supported each other in some way, whether it's like somebody's going through something, and our whole group of, like, well, our followers, they've named themselves Shinions.
Shinions. So I love it. There's a new tea, Shinions, coming out.
Our friends that like to come out to a lot of our stuff, they've gotten to know each other, and I think in some ways they come out as much for each other as they do for us at this point. And that's a really cool thing. And I was telling my friend, a lot of these people would not have given each other the time of day outside of music because they don't have common ground that they would have found until they first came together on this term. And then it makes you think differently about having differences in other areas because
doesn't matter.
No, because you realize you already know this person now. You've already found a common ground. You've already become bonded with this person. You know this person is good. They know you're good. And so some of these other things that, you know, have been at the forefront of how we connect in the world right now, they become the background and not necessarily the defining factor of whether we take care of each other. And I love that about music.
Yeah, I love it too. I love it. I mean, I'm big on family. Yeah. You know, it's funny. You know, I told you the story about this studio before, but I'm huge on family. I've always wanted a family. Always wanted, and like all the kids, all their friends feel like family. We always want to be the house where people come and they can hang out and whatever. And you know, when we started this kind of salty thing, it was kind of like we wanted it to be. I mean, our whole saying is friends, family, and loyal MFers. And like we wanted that feel. And we first started sponsoring athletes. You know, some of these kids like we'd send them some gear and stuff and we keep up with them. Like, hey, you had a good game, whatever. And like, I told this one kid, like, hey, you're proud of you, you're doing a good job. And he's like, no one's ever told me that.
Aww.
And you think of that and you're like, you take that for granted.
Yeah.
Like you take it for granted. Like, that's why, hey, tell someone they did a good job. You like their music,
right.
Tell them they did a good job, follow them, buy their gear. I mean, what a lot of people, like I learned on this is you're kind of naive to it because you're not in it. Like you're not doing it. But a lot of these, they have jobs. They are professional musicians, but they have jobs, they have whatever. I mean, they're trying to make this work. And everyone automatically just looks to whoever the superstar is, and they've got a private jet or whatever they have, right? And they just assume, well,
the 1%
hey,
of musicians.
all musicians are like, yeah, well, you're doing good, man. And they don't. It's like you have to set back and be like, if I like this person's art or I like what they're doing, like support them. That's my call to why we started Band Groupies, as Band. I mean, the whole thing was like bring light to really talented people. So.
Yeah, I
just went off on a tangent.
No, it's okay. I love the app for that. It really has been like very a good resource as a musician using it. And so far, the people that I have following me that are signing up to follow me there are liking what you guys offer that way. And you've talked about some other things you might be adding, which all sound really like beneficial. We were talking earlier that it is hard when you're an independent musician because like what you described, this famous musician is not usually an independent artist.
Yeah.
So they're kind of two different things,
Yeah.
and we might lump them together like you said, but like a lot of my friends, they work really hard and they, pay for all of the things that they need, to get even our album out that we're putting out. It's like we spent a year fundraising, working our butts off, going to different venues and making some money and getting some following and, getting to know people that could help us build that out. And even just finding someone who can produce well and someone who can, help you polish a session musician, right? Like that's so different than what we're doing live and just so much learning. And so, we having things like you guys thinking about, okay, what helps these independent artists do what they need to do. Absolutely. That's super, like, such a gift to us. So
we appreciate it. I mean, this wasn't a Band Groupies promo, but like it really was not something that we looked at from a business perspective and said, oh, we're going to make billions of dollars on it. It was simply just from talking, to artists, musicians like you, saying, hey, booking gigs, scheduling, it's a pain. No one knows. I got to text everyone where I'm going to be on Saturday. And it just was like, well, I mean, we can try to do that, right? And it was, I think that people they get busy and they love music, but they don't really know just even around in this area in a 20-mile radius. I mean, I know there's, thousands of musicians that are probably talented. Where do they play? What kind of music do they, what genre are they in? None of that is easy for a consumer of music, and I would be a consumer of music. I got my old man glasses. I don't know. I just it's a cool venue. I love it. It's cool to be able to sit down with people like you and hear your story, and just you met your lovely daughter, and so it's just really cool.
Yeah.
Musicians are people too.
Yeah, it is strange to be on a stage. My friend always says, you're a public figure now. And I'm like, that's a weird concept. And it's like, but it is, people do kind of put you in a different box.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that now, but it's nice to be in a small community because the community we're in is very close. And so you still are just a normal person to a large degree. But there are moments when I'm like, people think this is different than it is. Like, I'm just some normal person doing normal person things. I got my, teenagers at home and, running to get groceries before I run to do that thing before, and it's like.
But that's what's cool about it, right? I mean, that's what's like, we all think we're so different.
Yeah.
I don't care where you're from. I don't care what color you are. I don't care if you grew up in Boston, you grew up in Georgia, Florida, whatever. We're all doing pretty much the same things.
Yeah.
It's where you want to spend your time, and you have a love for music, and my time is just piddling with stuff and trying to see if it grows. I mean, but we're all the same. I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna have dinner, gonna do
that's right. Worrying about our kids, worrying about our finances, worrying about everybody's going through stuff. So
but we're not worrying about stuff we can't control. Now that's the lesson, kids.
There you go.
There's your lesson, right?
That's right.
Well, like if you like anything you want to tell aspiring artists or people that are just wanting to get started, anything like just you would want to give them advice? Because I mean, there's a a young woman out there or a young guy out there that's like debating like, I don't know if I want to be in finance anymore. I don't know if I want to work in this nonprofit world anymore. Any kind of advice you have for them, or
going into music, huh? Honestly, like collaborate a lot. Like get to know other people in your industry, whatever that is that you want to do. I always joke that if I ever write a book, it would be called The Dumbest Girl in the Room, and that's not to like put myself down, but honestly, I've made a habit of spending time around people who are doing something I want to do well already, doing it well, and so that I learn from them. But it kind of positions you to always be the person that's sort of the least knowledgeable about something, right? Because you're around all these giants in what you want to become. So if you're going into music and you got to be humble enough to collaborate and to be around people who are better at it than you, and let yourself learn from them. Like
that's awesome.
You'll grow
advice.
So fast.
That's awesome advice. It really is really good advice, because I think I coached kids for 22 years and all of them wanted to be the best.
Yeah.
Like, and if they weren't the best at it when they went out there, I'm like, you're not going to go out and be like the best quarterback if you've never even taken a snap.
Right.
You're watching, whoever, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
There's a lot of time in that guy did. And it was really frustrating to see younger people fall off of something that they actually could have been really great at because they weren't as good as what they thought they should be stepping into it.
Yeah.
That's with business too. I mean, that's the same thing. But.
Yeah. Anything you do, the comparison can kill you for sure.
Yeah.
Like collaborate, get to know other people, let yourself be okay with not being the best, because it's normal. Like there's a process we all have to go through. I mean, we do it as kids to learn anything, whether it's to walk or anything else. We don't start out good at it. We just got to keep trying and being around people who can show us how to do it right.
I love that. So Chris Cathers, who was on for Brothers Keepers Veteran Foundation, support those guys for veteran suicide. He said that comparison was the thief of happiness. And I thought that was really insightful.
Yeah.
Because it really is. You're comparing, I don't have a jet. Okay, well, I don't have a yacht. Okay, well, whatever.
Right.
But my point in that is comparison is the thief of happiness. And I thought that was so true. Like, it's tough to don't compare yourself to anyone. Just, get better every day. Work on your trade or whatever you're doing every day. And eventually those little incremental things that you do 1,000 times make it easy, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
You'll be that person. Oh, whatever. Yeah.
It becomes effortless eventually. Yeah. That's right.
But I think you're amazing. I really and thoroughly enjoy the music. I really appreciate you and your support of what we've done with Band Groupies. You've been great. She's one of our #1 artists on Band Groupies, and she did that on her own, and we're very grateful for that. So, but like, what would you want to tell anyone out there if you're telling come listen to your music, where they find you? How they find you, tell a little bit about I know you get an album coming up, so.
I'm very, very excited about that. Yeah. This next few months we're hyper focused on getting that finished. The masters are almost done. They're going to go out to our distribution, and then we have tentative dates that I haven't released yet, but will be coming soon. So you can find where I'm at via my social media, Instagram, Facebook, and then
and it's just Andria Shinn Music.
Yeah, Andria Shinn Music. Both handles are the same. And then, of course, if you want to see my schedule, you can look it up at Band.
Yeah, how about that plug? Oh, you get an extra 100 on that one. Yeah, go to Band Groupies and follow Andria Shinn Music, and you'll be notified automatically wherever she's at. It's amazing.
So easy. Effortless.
It's so effortless. You actually have to put your phone number in to sign up. That's it. So if you can remember your phone number, you can do it. But
that's right.
Well, so the album, do you know when that's going to come out?
Yeah, we do have tentative dates. I don't want to say because until the masters make it to our distribution, then once they're there, I know we'll have our timelines met. I just want to make sure we don't have any more hiccups. But we have some big events coming up in the next few months, and we're going to be releasing stuff kind of as a waterfall throughout those events. So my next big event is called the ShinnDig.
Oh,
and
awesome.
That's March 15th. So I will say you can expect some of our new music to come out then. And that will probably be our very first release. And
Don't believe her on the marketing thing. I gave her the thing. She's got ShinnDig and what are they, the Shinnians?
You can blame my friends for all the puns on my name because I worked hard not to have my name turn into a pun.
I love it. The ShinnDig, it could be amazing.
It is a lot of fun. We did it for the first time last year, and that's where I raised a lot of the funds to pay for this production of this music that we're about to put out. And so this year we get to release it at the following ShinnDig, and it's a huge party. It's basically an all-day festival at Macama Beer in Fernandina Beach, and we will have music all day. We start with a big kids open mic and music festival, and it's all kid music for the first few hours, and then from there it's bands all day. We're gonna do songwriter rounds. I'm gonna come out with the guys that helped me put this in the studio, and they're gonna share the songs that are coming out on the album that night, and then we're going to do a Friends the rest of the night, which Andria and Friends is kind of a little bit of a theme that we do. But it's basically when my friends come out and play music with me all night, and you never know what you're going to get. A lot of our fans are like, we can't miss a single one of these because it's something different every time. And it's like they get FOMO if they're going to miss something that may never happen again because it just happened that those 3 musicians were there at the right time to play that one thing.
Yeah, but that's cool. Fun. I mean, that's amazing. That's what you're bringing all these different musicians in and creating something that may never be played again.
That's exactly right. A lot of times this stuff isn't able to be recreated. It just happened that way that time. It happens a lot, but it's really cool. And that's a nod to the skills of my musician friends because they are very, very talented. So
I read. So I don't know. One of the music magazines or rags came out and it was talking about the history of the Grateful Dead and the Deadheads and whatever. And the one theme in that I took out of it, they literally were trying to everyone was family, right? They had a connection, and that's what
cool.
It was about. Just like you were talking about how everyone comes together and nobody's really different. They enjoy the music. That was their whole theme and why they attributed their massive success.
I'm not surprised.
People were just coming to be together. People that saw each other whenever you came through San Francisco or whatever it was. But I thought that was really unique. So I think ShinnDig and all that's going to catch on.
Well, we have something special in Fernandina for sure. As a corporately, not just me, but all of what's going on there with the music scene is pretty cool. So
yeah, and shout out to Fernandina Beach. I mean, they've been good to us too. We've got a lot of musicians down there, and I think it's because it's such a unique area. So thank you very much for that. Very, very grateful for that. We're babies on our journey, but if someone asked me, well, what's it like? I said, well, I kind of feel like with what we're doing with this band group is that we're a startup band. And we're the same thing. We're trying to get people to follow us and come listen to us and whatever. I said so. I kind of we got into it to help the musician, but now I kind of feel the musician's pain of how you get it out there, how you get the word out there.
Yeah, collaborate.
It's collaboration.
It's working.
So it is working. It's working. Well, I'm grateful that you came up because I know with the weather and everything, and you're amazing. So Salty Nation out there, you're going to hear Andria Shinn and Shinn Music on the McBastards studio in Salty's Live Music, and it was amazing. And any closing thoughts?
I don't know. I'm just really appreciative that we got to do this. It's been a really cool experience, so thank you.
It's been fun. Well, you're family now. You're part of the McBastards family. So
we'll be back up for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we want this space. That's why we kept the McBastards studio kind of as its own brand. Because we want people to use this space. Yeah. I mean, you can't cover up the McBastards stuff, but any musician out there, anyone that's really we've had a couple of people say, hey, I want to start a podcast. I'm like, you're welcome to come in and use it and give it a try. And we want this to be an experience, to be you feel like you're family here. Yeah, well, and vice versa. When you guys are down in Fernandina Beach, there's always a spot for you. You can come out to some music, put up some stuff. We'll show you off a little bit too. Absolutely. Yeah. We want to come down and do some live music events because we have a really good team, and we've done several events for other people. The Green Hat Classics coming up, Georgia Hemp Company in April. Don't miss that. It benefits the Kyle Pease Foundation. Those guys are great guys. We went out to the golf course and we were running around interviewing people. And if you know what Georgia Hemp is, there were a lot of people that were a little altered state But it was it was a good time. It was a good time. But well, once again, thank you so much, Andria Shinn, the wonderful, beautiful Andria Shinn. Listen to her music. Until next time, let's go.